What is Clearscope and is this content optimization tool for you? Hi there, my name is Brian Collins and welcome to the Become a Writer Today show. So in this video review, I'm going to walk through exactly how I'm using Clearscope and I'm going to explain the types of writers, bloggers and content publishers who can benefit from this tool. I hope you enjoyed the content in this video. If you do, hit thumbs up. And if you want to get more videos like this or about tools like Clearscope or the writing process, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. So I've been a Clearscope customer for over a year now, and it's one of the tools that I consider a key part of running Become a Writer Today and some of the other websites that I have. It's basically a content optimization tool that you can use to prepare your content so it ranks in organic search results and also to figure out what to put into your articles. Now, Clearscope is not the cheapest tool that's out there, so it's only really a good choice if you're serious about content publishing at scale or if you're running a lot of different content websites or working with freelance writers. In this review, I'm going to walk through how I'm using the premium version of Clearscope. Now, since I've been a customer, I've used the Essentials version and the Professional version. I've switched between these two depending on my needs each month. The key differences between these two plans basically boils down to how many reports you want to create, which I'll show you in a moment. So in the Essentials version, you can create 20 content reports, and in the Professional version, you can create 50 content reports. The Professional version also has some additional keyword research tools, which the Essentials version lacks. So in summary, if you're on a budget, you could start with the Essential version, and if you're happy with the tool, then you could try the Professional version. What I like about Clearscope is how easy it is to use compared to some of the other content optimization tools out there, which I'll cover at the end of this video review. Basically, when you log into Clearscope, you're presented with a dashboard like this, and you can create a report based on the topic you want to write content about or commission another writer to write content about. But I'd actually recommend you start with the keywords discovery section rather than creating your first report, because reports actually cost a credit, and you may remember it from the pricing section that you have either 20 or 50 credits per month. So if I were to type in Clearscope review, let's say I wanted to create an article about Clearscope, I would do a keyword discovery search, and it would just take a moment to present me with different potential keywords that I could use. Now what I would do is I would evaluate these keywords based on what I wanted to write the article about, and I can sort them based on most searched, least searched, most competitive, least competitive, cost per click and trending. And I can also filter by questions. So I'm going to give you another example and show you a different report that I created recently. So here's a sample report I created called Best Coffee. And you can see here now there's lots of different great keywords that I could potentially use if I were to write about best coffee for a website. So I can write about best coffee near me, best coffee grinder, best instant coffee, best coffee drip maker, best coffee travel mug. These are all different topics that I could include in one big ultimate guide, or I could include as different articles. And this is where you need to kind of put on your hat as a content creator or publisher to figure out what your content strategy for your site is. And that's a caveat with all of these tools. Although they can give you some information about keywords and competition, and the competition here is ranked from 0 to 1, you still need to figure out if your site will rank for these topics and if it makes sense for you to publish content on them. In other words, it's not good enough to simply find a good keyword, create your report, which I'll show you now in a second, and then expect to hit page 1 on Google search results. When you're ready to create a report, it only takes a few minutes to do it. You just type in your keyword and then you click run report and it'll use up a credit. So I'm going to use one here so you can see how long it takes to generate. And while this is working, just to point out that you can also create these reports in batch. So if you have 20 different keywords that you've researched, you can put them all here as queries and click run reports. You can also extract content from URLs from other competitors as well, but I don't tend to use that as much. And so it takes about a minute for this report to run. Once your report is created, you can click on optimize and you can go in and start producing your content. So if I were to write an ultimate guide to the best coffee, it would need to be at least 3,500 words long. Now the key thing to know is when you use the right hand sidebar to figure out what topics to address in your content. So it's suggesting that these are some of the headings that I should potentially use if I were to write this article. You can also click on the research tab to see what questions people are asking in Google search. So if I type in best coffee, and I can see some of the questions that people are asking about best coffee. So this is where it's pulling the information from based on the United States. Now I should point out that I'm doing this in Ireland, so my questions will be different depending on what country you're in. What I also like looking at is the competitors section, because I can see some of the top ranking pages in the United States for the terms best coffee. And in this case, it seems to be articles about the best coffee shops in San Francisco and so on. So this would raise a red flag to me, because it would say that maybe best coffee isn't the right keyword for me, and I should go back to my keyword discovery section and find a different topic. That said, let's say I was happy to go ahead and write the article. My approach would be to simply use the competitor section to figure out what's ranking, use the research section to see what questions people are asking, and then either prepare my outline or start writing the article. Now, to show you how this works, I'm going to go over to an article that I've finished for a different topic. So I researched a keyword for Become a Writer today called compare and contrast essay. Now, this is just simply a keyword. So I put my kind of content strategist head on and I said to myself, I need a guide that explains how to write a compare and contrast essay, because I already have lots of articles about essays on the site. So I gave this brief to a writer, and I'll show you how I do this in a few moments. But this is what they presented me with. So when I paste this article into Clearscope, you can see immediately that the score here on the left-hand side has gone from F to green, or A. So I'm just going to do it again so you can see it. And it's gone this way because I've included, or the writer has included, all of the key terms on the right-hand side. So what the writer has done is they've followed my content brief, written the article, and then during the editing process, they've included any of these terms or topics that they have missed. And the more of these terms and topics you include, the better your score is. Clearscope also indicates which potential headings you should include in your article as well. And again, if I go over to the competitors section, they could use what competitors are publishing on their sites as, I suppose, inspiration for the article, or as a way of getting or figuring out what types of articles people like to read about when they search for this particular topic. Now, I mentioned that I gave this to a freelance writer rather than producing it myself. So the way I did this is I simply created the report like I showed you a few minutes ago, and then I created share, and then I get a share link that I can give to a freelance writer. And they don't need a Clearscope account then to use the share link. They simply get presented with a editable or text editor like this. They can write their article in Google Docs as normal, and then they can paste it in here to see what terms they're missing. If the writer is unhappy using the Clearscope text editor for some reason, they can use a Google Docs add-on, which works quite well, or a WordPress plugin. I don't use the WordPress plugin personally because I don't like editing articles in the WordPress text editor, but basically it presents you with a sidebar in WordPress that looks like this, as does the Google Docs editor. So I'm just going to install this or open up a test article so you can see how it works. I've installed the Clearscope plugin. To access it, you simply click on add-ons, click on Clearscope and click start. Then it will just ask you for the shareable link. So I'll paste this in. So I'm just going to go back over here to get the shareable link. And these are the steps that the writer will go through. Click link report. And then you're presented with the same sidebar, and I can write my article as normal in Google Docs. Personally, I like using Clearscope because I can put all of these shareable links in a spreadsheet, keep track of them all, and see what writers are working on. And I can give the same spreadsheet to a content publisher or uploader for the site. All they need to do is click on more, make sure copy mode is turned on, and then they can simply copy and paste the formatted text and put it into WordPress or to wherever I'm publishing the article in question. You can also organize all of your reports using labels, and you can archive them as well. Now, I did mention that Clearscope is based on a credit-based system. So sometimes you may find that you'll run out of reports or credits on a given month. So you can actually buy additional report credits rather than upgrading your plan, or you can simply upgrade your plan. But it is worth pointing out that your credits do expire after 30 days. So what I recommend you do is start with keyword discovery, come up with a list of keywords that you're potentially going to use before you create your report credits, and perhaps put a notification in your calendar a few days before your credits expire so you use them all. Now, there is some credits for keyword discovery as well. 245 out of 250 is what I have left. So you're probably not going to use this for advanced keyword research or keyword research at scale. For that, you're probably better with a standard keyword research tool like Ahrefs. So what I normally do is prepare a big list in Ahrefs and then refine the list in Clearscope. Now, you may be wondering, do you even need these content optimization tools? Well, the answer is it depends. It depends if you can afford to spend $150 per month on search engine optimization and content optimization. If you can, these are fantastic for automating your content publishing workflow and for briefing other freelance writers, because you can figure out much faster what topics they should include in the article based on what's already ranking in Google search results. That said, if you're not publishing that many articles or you have a smaller budget, you can easily do a lot of this for yourself, via basic desk research. So if I were to type in compare and contrast essay into Google, I can start looking at some of the topics that are coming up. I can look at the questions that people are asking, and I can also look at some of the other articles that are ranking on this topic. Then I could potentially research the content in these articles to prepare a brief outline of the key topics that writers should include in the content. I would also look at the related search below here at the bottom of page 1 to see if there are any other potential articles that I should produce or perhaps include in my article. And this is similar to what Clearscope does when it prepares its report. So it's basically automating this type of page 1 Google Desk research that you can do. Now, at $150 per month, Clearscope isn't the cheapest content optimization tool out there. There are other alternatives which I've also tested. I did use Surfer SEO for quite a while. It's a little bit more affordable, or at least it was the last time I used it. So currently pricing is at $49 per month and you get 10 reports. So that is cheaper than Clearscope. But personally, I prefer the ease of use and accuracy of Clearscope over Surfer or Surfer SEO. Market Muse is another popular content optimization tool. I also tested Market Muse for my site. It's actually quite a bit more expensive, although they do have a free version that you can try. Personally, I found Market Muse a little bit more cumbersome to use than Clearscope, but it still is excellent. And Market Muse was better for identifying content gaps on my site rather than helping me research what topics to create next. What do I mean by that? Well, you will install Market Muse or ask Market Muse to analyze your site, and it will tell you what you have topical authority for, and then it will suggest other related topics that you should build. Clearscope doesn't really do that, so there is a use case for both types of tools if you can afford them. That said, I know many people won't have the budget for both types of tools. So another cheaper alternative that you may want to consider is Frase. Frase is quite good too. Starts at $19.99 per month. I also have a subscription for Frase, which I got via an AppSumo deal. And it creates a report much like this, although I did notice that it's probably not quite as easy to use, but it'll still get the job done and automate some of your content publishing workflow. Those are probably the key alternatives to Clearscope right now. There are a couple of others, but these are the ones that I've got the most value from. Hope you enjoyed this video review of how I'm using Clearscope. In summary, I consider it one of the key tools I use to run my content publishing business. It helps me with keyword research. It helps me with topic planning and article outlining, and it also helps me figure out how to brief writers more effectively. That said, it's not the cheapest content optimization tool out there. If you're on a tighter budget, you may be better served with Surfer or Frase. And if you have a big site, you actually could go the other direction and use Clearscope in conjunction with a tool that will help you with topic planning like Market Muse. Now, if you're interested in learning more about Clearscope, I actually interviewed the founder, Bernard. He was a fantastic interviewee, and he explained all about how content optimization tools work using AI. And he also talks about how writers and content publishers can get the most from Clearscope. And he also describes his story about why he started Clearscope and what the future of search results is going to look like. So it's a good interview with Bernard, and he was an engaging interviewee who really understands what it takes to grow a successful content site today. Definitely recommend you check it out, and I'll put the link in the show notes. If you did enjoy this review, please hit thumbs up. And if you want to get more reviews like this, then don't forget to subscribe to the channel.